Welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast, a collection of inspiring conversations with the most interesting female entrepreneurs and small business owners. I'm your host, Lindsay White, and together with my incredible guests, we'll explore the struggles of being a female entrepreneur, the most important lessons, and the future of women leaders in business. And I'm passionate about helping female entrepreneurs become the calm, confident leader their team and their business really need. And that's why I've recently launched my 6-week mental fitness bootcamp. Now, this amazing program will help you tackle your inner critic, tame your saboteurs, tap into your sage inner voice, and increase your positive intelligence. With a combination of daily practice in the custom app, a weekly focus to increase your awareness, and regular group coaching led by me, you'll build the mental muscles you need to quickly overcome the changes and challenges you're facing right now. If you're ready to transform your leadership and your life, connect with me today to learn more at highvoltageleadership.ca/positive intelligence. Now, my guest on this week's episode is the incredible Tiffani Patlán. Tiffani's a trauma survivor who came to realize that her own journey of self-discovery and healing really needed to be shared. And her journey began when she realized that the issues in her marriage weren't just her husband. They were actually her. And as she spent time in therapy and began learning about a variety of healing tools and techniques, she really realized that it was the mind-body-soul connection that led to the incredible healing she was experiencing. Desperate to share that information with the world, she wrote the best-selling book, Unlocking Your Ability to Heal. Tiffani's incredible ability to share her story with courage and her passion for supporting others in their journey through mental health and addiction issues shines through in this powerful conversation that I know you're going to enjoy. Hey, welcome back to the Female Founder Friday podcast. I have my friend Tiffani with me today. Thank you so much for being here. I am really looking forward to a great conversation with you today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to, share and, with all your audience, and I'm just thankful. So thank you.
Yeah. And I know you have a ton to share. We've already had some great conversations, you and I think I know that everyone listening is really going to appreciate your story. So, let's jump into it. Tell us about your journey to becoming a female founder.
Well, I, like everybody else, thought, go to school, get your degrees, get a job, pay off your school debt, right?
Right.
And things didn't turn out the way that I thought they were going to. I'm still paying back those student loans.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I my heart goes out to those people out there that pay for their student loans. But then I noticed that something in my life drastically took a change. And what that is that I am a trauma survivor and I've experienced a lot of abuse in my life. And I never realized just how much all of that was actually affecting every part of my entire life.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, issues between my husband and I, where he kind of told me, and I thought, maybe it is me. If my husband thinks that I'm all these things, and if there's any truth to that, I don't want to be this person. So I started doing a lot of work. I started going to counseling, started going to therapy, started learning, understanding. I realized I was mentally ill, something I didn't learn before, but that's natural when you experience trauma, and it's not our fault. We shouldn't have shame around that. It is what it is. But once you can do something about it. And that's what I started doing. I went on this massive quest, learning about nutrition. I started learning about mental health. I started learning about spirituality. And in doing all that, the next thing I know, I'm writing a book. And I had wanted to write a book for like the past 10 years or so. And I never thought that it was actually going to be within my reach until I started doing all this healing work. And I went on this amazing healing journey of my own. And in writing this book, that's when I realized what my life purpose was. We all have darkness somewhere. And what we can do is turn that darkness, that pain, into something beautiful. And that's what I did. I turned my pain into something that can help other people. And so that's why now I have my business, Tiffani Patlán Health and Wellness, where I now help other people that have been where I have been. Any trauma survivors that have experienced abuse like I have, I know what it's like to live in the dark. I know what it's like to feel alone, to feel unloved, to feel unwanted, to not have a voice. And I never realized just how much that, like I said, how that, had a part to play in all areas of my life. And now that I'm in a position, I can resonate with other people that have gone through so many things that I have. And I cherish it. I'm so grateful for it. And it was just such a beautiful experience to identify my passion and learn how I can actually make a difference, a huge impact in this world.
Wow. Okay. Like I'm practically speechless. Every time I talk to you, I'm in awe of, first of all, how courageous you are of just acknowledging and owning. I'm a trauma survivor. I've experienced abuse. I struggle with mental illness. And this is who I am. And it's also part of how I connect to and support and love on other people.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And as someone who has struggled with mental illness, I mean, I have an anxiety disorder. I have struggled with situational depression. I mean, I'm lucky I'm not a trauma survivor in that sense, but I can connect and empathize with that. There is a lot of shame that goes with that. And I love that you just own it. And in fact, you leverage it. That's brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. And you mentioned anxiety disorders. Those are the most common with 40 million adults in the US. And only the part that breaks my heart is that only 36% are getting treatment.
Oh, yeah. There's still a ton of stigma around it, isn't there?
Yes.
Ton of stigma.
Really is.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're right. I quite sincerely, I don't know many people who haven't struggled with anxiety or depression, or maybe a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that we don't have to have shame around. And it's talked about more than ever before, which I think is amazing.
Yes.
You broach the conversation so boldly and so empathetically, but we still need more people to step up and say, I need help. I need help. I am struggling.
Yes.
This mental health issue, this trauma that I am suffering it's impacting my life. And I wrote it down that your statement, your husband was talking to you and you said, like, maybe it is me. Maybe I am not showing up in the way that I actually I see myself. Like maybe I'm not accurate in the way I see my behavior.
Exactly.
And maybe I am part of the problem here, right?
Yes, we need to stop pointing the fingers at everyone else, and we need to point the finger inward. Whether we think we're the problem or not, we need to point the finger inward.
Yeah, the self-reflection is really key. Like to be able to take two big steps back and say, hang on a second. Like, and I say this, Tiffani, to my clients all the time, is that like you need to be the change you want to see in others around you. Right? Yes. Big smile. I think that that's really important. If you want other people to change, you need to show your willingness to change first before anyone else, right? That's your accountability. That's you. I mean, I talk a lot about leadership, but that's really you leading in your life and leading in your relationships.
Yes.
Right? You got to lead yourself. And so I think we could talk about this probably for the rest of the afternoon. I just think it's brilliant. So tell us, I mean, you had your incredible healing journey, and then you came to this place where you're like, I got to write a book about this. Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, it was really a beautiful moment because I suffered with anxiety disorder. So it was really scary for me to go to new places, to meet new people. And typically I would, in the past, I, abused alcohol and I had that liquid courage.
Yeah.
And now I'm operating in a place where I don't have that liquid courage. So what do I have? You know what I mean? So we were struggling financially, and I have another business, Cosmic Sweets, where I help people learn that you can enjoy a sweet treat without sacrificing nutrition. So
Right.
I make products, and I was selling them at this female entrepreneur conference because I wanted to sell my product and learn how to, grow my business.
Hmm.
And on the way there, I was terrified because number one, I was going by myself.
Right.
I was driving in the snow and it was a long drive. It was like an hour away. And if there's people out there that suffer with anxiety disorder, you might resonate with this. You know how when you're on the freeway and if there's a semi that drives close to you,
Yeah.
my knuckles would get white. I'd be
Yeah.
nervous, scared. My hands are sweating, so there was a lot of things that I was experiencing, but I knew that I had to go do this. And I went, and wouldn't you know, I see this woman in the restroom, and I don't usually spark conversation with random women in the restroom. She was wearing a skirt, and something compelled me to ask her, "Oh my goodness, aren't you cold?" Because I was freezing, and she's wearing a skirt. And she's like, "Oh," and we just got to talking. Come to find out, her name is Christine Gale, and she is a book coach.
Awesome.
And I filled out a form, told her a little bit about my story, which was really raw because I still hadn't fully healed a lot of the things. So I was actually crying in front of her. She felt so bad. She gave me a hug. And later on, we connected. And
Love
she
it.
made a way when there was no way for me to join her community and write this book. And guess what? In writing this book, I experienced so much more breakthrough and so much more
Sure.
healing
Yeah.
because they say journaling, and when you're writing, especially your life story, you're having to go back in time. There's so much healing around that.
Yeah.
And I never realized, I thought that my abuse started, back when I was 12, when I was incestuously raped by my 23-year-old cousin, but it didn't. It started before that. And that's when I learned that I was actually raised in a home where there was mental illness. My mother's never been diagnosed, but knowing everything I know now, I feel confident in saying that my mother, unfortunately, is mentally ill, perhaps my father too. And I don't blame them for anything. I understand that my parents did the best that they could with the
Right.
knowledge that they had at the time. And
Right.
I feel like saying that I was blessed with parents that taught me a lot of what not to do.
I really, I mean, that's a way to look back from a real healed perspective. And I'm not even saying that right, but like, you really have to have done your work to be able to look back and say, yeah, there were some lessons there, man. They were painful, painful lessons, but yeah. And to say, they did the best they could, even if it was terrible. That was all they could do. And not a generation that in any way, shape, or form could even consider seeking help of any kind. You just didn't, that generation does not ask for help.
That's right.
Right? They just don't.
They hide everything because there's too much shame, like you mentioned before.
So much shame. Yeah.
And I just didn't, I knew I wanted something better. I knew that my children deserved to have a better mother than what I had. And so I made that decision to break the chains. And I didn't even know what that was. I was clueless, but I went on this massive quest and I started researching. And that's when I stumbled on those 3 words, mind, body, and soul. And I said, all right, every day I'm going to do something to focus on my mental, physical, and spiritual health. And when I started doing that, I started unlocking my ability to heal, which is the name of my book, Unlocking Your Ability to Heal.
Yeah. I love it. I love that it sort of comes in those 3 pieces, because I think doing one of them alone would be great, but it's not going to give you everything that you need. Yes?
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I think that's something different that I offer people is they think, oh, if I experienced all this stuff, I need to focus on my mental health, which you do.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, your physical health is just as important. I mean, it comes in 2 parts, your nutrition as well as your body movement. A stagnant body will promote disease, and that is not going to help your mental health. If anything, it's going to manifest it to, be even worse with stress and worry and all this stuff. And not only that, your nutrition, if you are not, feeding yourself, on a cellular level, then that will affect you, and that can manifest into anxiety disorder, depression, because your body is not being nourished the way that it needs to be. So they all go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Same thing with your spirituality. If you're not eating healthy live foods that have high vibrational foods, that will that will affect your spirituality. So they really all go together. Hence, mind, body, soul. You see it everywhere.
Totally. I mean, as you're talking, what pops into my mind is like garbage in, garbage out.
Oh yeah.
Like if you are not truly nourishing your mind, your body, and your soul with things that bring you joy and fulfillment and energy in any of those ways, whether it's what you put in your mouth or what you put in your mind, or
yes.
right? Like it totally makes sense to me to really do all of that work in a cohesive way.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm speaking from my own experience. And in doing so, I also, did some research to look to see, like, am I the only one? I can't be the only one, but there is other people, and they're starting to include the spirituality piece little by little.
Yeah.
But before, it's more about the mind-body connection. I mean, you hear Dr. Joe Dispenza, he used his mind to help heal his spine. He was in a major car crash or something, and he did that, and he's well known. So I'm not the only one. Like, it's true. And there is scientific research out there that shows that there is a strong mind-body connection. And on its own, there is scientific research that shows that areas like your self-esteem, 85% of the world population have low self-esteem. And that's part of the spirituality piece. And there's peer-reviewed journals that show a correlation between spirituality and suicide.
Sure.
See? So it all really plays an important part. That's why I think some people, they focus on their mental health, but then they're still having issues and they don't understand, or their medications. And then if they skip a medication, then everything comes flooding back, because the reality is those medications are masking the root cause of why you developed anxiety disorder or depression or this, that, and the other.
As someone who has been on antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds as recently as, 4 or 5 years ago, I think you have to look at those things as a tool. And this is where I think people get a little bit messed up. And some of this is, our Western-based medicine, our big pharma. And you folks in the US have even more of this than we do, because like every second commercial on the television is about a pill that you need to take.
Oh, and the side effects?
We don't have that in Canada here, but we watch a lot of American television, and I'll tell you honestly, it's mind-blowing. But it's when you approach those anti-anxiety meds from a place of, I have to have this, as opposed to a place of, this is going to help me for a moment in time to manage my anxiety so I can actually get after what is causing the problem. What's the work I need to do? What are the tools? What are the techniques? What are the conversations? What's the work I need to do to get out of the bottom of that well?
Yes.
And then I don't actually need those anymore. Now, there are people that need them. Please don't get me wrong. If you're on anxiety meds, you need to work with, but like there's work. It's not just about, I take the pill and I'm okay. It just makes it easier to deal with the problems. The problems are still there.
Yes.
You got to deal with you got to do your work, as Byron Katie says. So I just, I really appreciate what you're saying. And I think where, it connects so beautifully to the coaching work that I do, which is really, I'm a coactive coach, which is about aligning your being with your doing, right? So there is a lot of spiritual work involved, right? It's not just about setting goals and having someone keep you accountable to achieve them. It's truly about understanding at a soul deep level, what do you really value? What is truly important? What makes you who you are? How do you live that every day? How do you bring that to life in every interaction and every thought that you have? And then how do you align that with the way you go and operate in the world? What's your purpose? Why are you even here? Right? Like, what are you doing? Like, without that, you don't even know what your North Star is. You don't know what your why is. So I resonate with that in a different, but connected way, Tiffani, in terms of how those things, this body, mind, spirit, can't talk, the mind.
Come up with a new word.
How are we doing today? No, I really, really love that. I love that a lot. So on this journey, this epic, like truly epic journey you've been on, I am sure that you have made some mistakes or missteps along the way. Would you talk to us a little bit about one of those?
Mistakes. I think a lot of mistakes that I made, well, this is a big one, and I think a lot of women can relate to this. I started pointing the finger at my husband. I didn't point the finger at me. I looked at him as he's the problem, and I did. I was that girl, I was that woman that was trying to change him. That was me. It was me. I admit it. I did. A lot of heartache. You're the problem. You're what's wrong. You need to do this. You need to get help. You. And I was just finger pointing left and right. And that just created so much turmoil in our marriage. And now I look back and I'm like, I'm sorry. Thank you for still being married to me. But like, those are just thoughts that I had because I see clearly now. And I had to learn the hard way that you cannot change another person.
Yeah.
You, like you mentioned before, we have to be the change we wish to see in the world. And I lived that truth. Once I started thinking about me, that maybe I am the problem, and I started doing all this healing work, our marriage started to change for the better. Things started to change. And it reflected in the ways that I parented my kids. So my children were benefiting. I became, I'm just a better person in this world. I'm a better friend. I'm better in my business. I'm better in so many ways. And it's all because I decided to stop pointing the finger at him and trying to change him. And I took all of my precious energy and I started pouring it into me. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to acknowledge that, because if I didn't, who knows where we would be by now. And if I don't even like to think about where I'd be. I just like to focus on the gratitude piece. I am grateful.
Yeah. I mean, I think that actually is a great point. It's only worth lingering for a moment on what could have been to just really then resonate with where am I today and how grateful I am to be not there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like just a moment of reflection you don't want to go with. So I totally respect that. And I love even in our businesses, in terms of how we as female entrepreneurs operate, like, pointing the finger at our husbands or our kids, but also in these beautiful businesses that we're building, that somehow it could be it's somebody else. It's always somebody else's fault, whether it's a person or a circumstance, like even COVID. Oh, it's COVID's fault. Oh, COVID's been so horrible. Yes. I mean, let's be honest. There's some truth to that. It's been a very difficult 20 months.
Yes.
But the reality is you can allow those circumstances to rule you, or you can choose to manage the pieces that you really can get your head around. You really can wrap your arms around.
Choice. Right? I think people don't realize you have a choice. And especially if you are a trauma survivor, if you've experienced abuse where you didn't have the power of your voice, you didn't have that, and you didn't have self-esteem, you didn't grow up knowing that, you grow up not thinking that you have a choice. You grow up thinking that it is what it is. Oh, bad things keep happening to me because I deserve that. That's what I deserve. This, that, and the other. But that is not true. That is just a lie of your circumstances. It's a lie from growing up the way that you did, the way that I did. And when you realize, wait a minute, I have this innate, amazing power inside of me. If I don't like the way this is, I have the power to change that. And when you realize that, you become empowered. And that's when nothing will stop you.
I love that you said that. And I had another guest on the show She's a friend of mine and is also a trauma survivor from early childhood, where she experienced, sexual violence at the hands of a relative. And it's interesting that both of you have that sort of same approach that, there was a moment where I got to make some big choices for myself, and I chose not to repeat that pattern. I chose not to let that control or rule or destroy me, pick the word that's appropriate. I chose to be different. It wasn't an easy choice. Actually, nothing about it was easy.
No, it wasn't.
Because I think that's the key part. Like Tiffani, you make this sound easy. But the truth is, this is incredibly hard work. This is decades worth of attention to yourself, mind, body, and soul. Like I recognize and really validate that. And she said the same thing. Like there was a moment in time where I get to choose who I wanted to be and how I wanted my life to go. And I sure as hell knew it wasn't going to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
That right there takes incredible courage and strength.
And we all have it though. I'm not special in that regard. We are all special. We can all do it. You might not have been taught how to do that when you were younger. And guess what? That's okay. Yeah. As an adult, you're able to make better choices for yourself. And if you don't know how, you can reach out. There's the power of, the internet. There's so many things that are available now that people can do to learn. If you didn't grow up with self-esteem, guess what? You can rebuild it. If you didn't grow up with love, you can be that love that you never received. If you weren't protected, you can learn how to protect yourself. There's so many things that you can do. And some people just need a little help seeing that, because if you grow up, in a traumatic environment, it's challenging, but that does not mean it's impossible. It's hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I love that. It's hard, but it's absolute. Like you are worth it.
Yes.
Essentially, right?
Yes.
You are worth all of the. And I don't know if everybody can hear the passion, the emotion, Tiffani, in your voice as you say these things, and also the timbre. Like even now, there are moments when it almost chokes you up. How powerful some of this emotion is for you. Yes,
I feel it. I feel it inside. Yeah. It's like because of all the healing work that I've done, and yeah, you're right. Talking about it, like my heart is like broken wide open. I'm like so raw. I can feel it, and I want everyone else to feel it. Everybody deserves to live in the light, and that's why I'm doing the work that I do, because I found the light, and I'm over here on the top of the mountain shining it for everybody, because I just want to help lead everybody else out of the darkness, because I know what it's like, and you do deserve a good, happy life. You deserve it, and you can have it.
I love it. I love it. What a powerful message. Whether you have experienced trauma, whether you have experienced a mental health issue, whether you are on your own journey, whether you're in the middle of it, at the beginning of it, you don't even know you need to have that journey yet. Like, I love that visual of you shining that light, because I think we all just need to know someone is out there. Someone is out there and cares and wants to see us, just being beautiful, our beautiful self, right? Mm-hmm. So I really, really love that. Okay, so let me ask you this. And you've offered so many already, but like, what little piece of advice would you give to a female entrepreneur? Maybe she's struggling. I mean, it's been 20 long, hard months. We've been worried about the financial health of our business, the stress level on our teams, the emotional wellness of our families. What would you say to her? She's a little burnt out right now, Tiffani.
I would go immediately to the self-care, and I would suggest doing what I call my trifecta, which is just start every single day. Do something that supports your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. When the weather was warmer, what I would do is I would go outside, because just simply being outside in a beautiful environment, green spaces are known to support your mental health, but just being outside connects you spiritually. And so checking that box, and I'm walking. So there's the physical part. And then for my mental health, again, the green spaces, so that still plays a part. But, when you're outside and you're connected spiritually, you're vibrating at such a high level. What better time then to state some positive affirmations. So that's what I would do, or even gratitude affirmations, self-love affirmations,
Yeah.
whatever you need in that moment. And there's no money involved. Like, this is easy. And if you don't, yeah, and if there's something, like if it's not walking, if it's swimming, if it's maybe it's journaling, a gratitude journal, you can choose whatever works for you, because you are a unique individual. And once you start doing that, you will bring your body into alignment. And that's when you will just naturally start healing. That is the beautiful side effect when you focus in those three areas, is that you will just heal in ways that you didn't even know that you needed healing. And guess what? It's going to show, and it's going to reflect in your business. It's going to reflect in how you show up. It's going to reflect in your business relationships. It's going to, reflect in your marriage and your relationships and your parenting. And there's nothing but beauty that comes out of that. So every day, focus on your mental, physical, and spiritual health. And in my book, Unlocking Your Ability to Heal, I have that self-care section. And there's, several different methods in there that anybody can choose to pick. And that's why I did that. It's not just my story for inspiration, it's
Right.
also the know-how, because I wanted people to be able to do something. And so that's what I recommend. Start doing your trifecta, create it in a way that works for you, and do it every single day. And I am confident you will start to see positive change in all areas of your life.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Find that space, and the three pieces, don't just do one or the other, but all three pieces. That's brilliant. And like you said, very practical, doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't cost a lot of money. I think I need to take that advice. So, okay, just as we're wrapping up, I mean, I ask all of my guests, and again, I think this might be a little bit of a redundant question, but what does leadership mean to you? How do you lead, Tiffani?
I lead by example.
Love it.
I know that was short, but that's
Yeah.
immediately the first thing that came into my mind is I lead by example. And I live my life every single day, focusing on my mental, physical, and spiritual health. And I am not done healing. New life events happen, and we have to know to honor those emotions and release them so they don't become suppressed, because that can manifest into depression, more mental health issues, and we don't want that. So it's, I just think that leading by example is the way to go. I don't preach and not do things myself. I'm walking the walk. I'm doing it right along with everybody else. And I also have my private Facebook group, and everything that I learn about that's new, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I put it in there to share with other people, because I think that's what we need to do, is just continue to evolve, continue to learn. And yeah, and that's the best way that I have known to lead, is to just lead by example.
Yeah, no, you know what? And I think that's so important. It's something that I hear a lot in the work that I've done with teams throughout the years. Is there's nothing that people hate more than a boss, a leader that, do what I say, not what I do. Right? They
Exactly.
preach one thing and they practice another. And I love that you lead just in the way that you operate every day. And also that you lead in terms of acknowledging that you still have work to do, that you still have growth that you want to have in your life. And that, you continue to explore how all of this continues to shape and form your life, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
you're right. Like, it's funny, old behaviors pop up in strange and mysterious ways, don't they? So
Yes.
I really love that, because I think being accountable as a leader is just really, really important. And just very quietly demonstrating that this, I'm going to show up every day, even when it's hard. That's a really great leader. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's absolutely brilliant. And thank you for just so boldly and passionately and just, soul deep sharing today, here on the podcast. I'm really, really grateful to have you as a guest.
Oh, the feeling is mutual. I am very grateful to, I hope that something that I said really hit home for somebody out there. And I just want to say again, don't think that you don't deserve a happy life, because you do.
Yeah, I love that. What a great place to end the conversation today. And we'll make sure that if you are someone that this resonates with, we'll have all the places that you can find and connect with Tiffani in the show notes, because I know she's there for you and she'll want to talk to you. So we'll make sure that you have access to find her online. Thank you again, my friend. And we'll talk with you very, very soon.
Thank you so much.
To everyone tuning in today, thanks again for listening to the Female Founder Friday podcast. I really love Tiffani's comments towards the end of our conversation, where she said that we all have darkness inside of us, but we have the power to turn that into something beautiful. And I think that's absolutely compelling. And you can find out more about Tiffani and what she does on her website, which is Tiffani with an I, Patlán.com. So TiffaniPatlán.com. And of course, you can find out more about me on Instagram, where you can find me. My handle is @HighVoltLeadership. The Female Founder Friday podcast has a goal to impact 1,000 listeners. And it would really mean the world to me if you left this episode a 5-star review and shared it with all of your friends. Let's engage 1,000 female entrepreneurs and really amplify the message. Thank you again for being a part of the show here today. And don't forget to connect with me at highvoltageleadership.ca.